What happened to the Congo? There were 22 million people killed between 1905 and 1940, just like Firestorm, Goodyear, Cecil Rhodes can go in there and rape our people. And secondly, now going into the voting, I think the attack on voting, I think the perception of voting in the black community is completely misunderstood. There is a war being played against black people for the last 400 years.
That's right.
Worldwide. And with this war, they've been using certain tools to make us feel as though that we are part of a system that can be changed. However, the people in charge, the aristocratic Europeans who are in charge, have only gotten to the position in which they wanted to be in the last 40 years. I ask people, what's the top business in America? And everybody says, Walmart, Wall Street. And I say, you're morons.
Prisons.
Jails.
That's right. That's right.
And for black people, you know, when you say, well, how did America get jobs in the 1970s on, one black person gets 5 jobs in America. And you say 40 million black people went through the jail system from 1970 to 2012, that's 200 million white Americans who were able to work off the labor provided through slavery. Now, when you understand that the 2 forms of slavery that were created by the church in 1913, you have to understand the influence of the Catholic Church and why their influence in the religion as an overall part and the institutions that put this under our minds. The Board of Education. Once you subtract, now again, what white people know against the white people, there's a line there and there's a line for us. And
that's right.
We understand that the corporate entities in the community, they're not for our purpose. The politicians, the aristocrats, and the people in power are the same people. They're just arguing over who makes more money off of raping poor people. And once we understand that this system in any way is not for us, the Board of Education, the voting system, the medical system, the food system, once we subtract ourselves out of it, as we did in the 20s, and say,
that's right,
we're going to re-collaborate ourselves, we don't need to vote for them. We'll just say we'll buy who we want to be in office to represent who we need for our people to have.
So let me let Jim respond. So wait.
Yeah, that's right. Clap for that. Yeah, that's right.
How would you respond to people of color withdrawing from the system as a
I think it is a major error, and I bear witness to this, that there are a lot of stories, and we often talk about how it was, the reinterpreting history, and we talk about it as if we know, but the reality is what do we know to do in this now moment? And we should take a lesson in history that I think the Jamaicans in there, in where they say out of one many, look, if the seed of civilization comes out of that little area with nothing but black people on, seed of civilization, I mean, everything that come after it is what? Black. Don't get stuck on the shade. See, no, I'm not talking about, I'm not directing at you, but I'm just saying, I'm follow me. So the seed of civilization comes from that. So we got some brothers and sisters that don't know they're our brothers and sisters. And in the same moment, in the right now moment, while some are running tricks and trying to fool people, who are the ones that are teaching us on how to deal in the moment and become, you remember we was talking about being nation builders?
The 5%.
Where are our teachers that teach us to build in the now moment? And it don't take 20 years, brother. It's not about, money is important, but in the way we build community to care for each other and to participate in a process that affects all of us. We can stand off and talk about it as much as we want, and we can try to go the money route, but the reality is one important thing. We have to change this electoral process. It is what governs and impacts communities all across the nation, and too many of us are divesting from it rather than learning how to occupy it. We got to learn how to occupy it.
That's right.
Yeah. 1 second.
I wasn't coming at you.
I understand. In reference to that, I feel as though a lot of people are not under enough influence of the facts that we've had, like an elder told me, he said black people don't do enough for themselves, and I said black people don't do enough because the leadership that was helping us to learn how to work together were murdered by the government that we've tried to choose to
Some.
vote with. Not some, brother. Every single political representative of our people. Martin Luther King was found killed. Malcolm X's entire murder was orchestrated by the government. That was found to be proven. Medgar Evers murder, the introduction of crack into our community, the dispersion of yeah, they can say AIDS happened in Africa, but AIDS happened to be found in the one country that was claiming, that was going to sign against who? America in 1959, which was the Congo, which was going to sign who? They were bringing Russian planes from where? From Russia to the Congo so that they can help fight against the colonizers in their country. And the only people that America could fight against them were the Americans, and they put their most important drug to help our black community was AIDS. And so they put that there, and I'm not, no people take these as conspiracies, but in the rule of law, circumstantial evidence sometimes looks like a conspiracy. And this is what we have to understand, that this is a war that they have turned into corporate entities. They can hide behind their ideologies.
Like Alec. That's right.
Right now there are over 200 million Africans who are enslaved. There are 40 million Africans who have gotten a disease within 25 years, 30 years. There are 40 million Africans who went through this prison system in over 40 years. So like, when you read when they said in 1971, when the judge told the corporations, you need to figure out how to deal with the public. You know what happened 4 years after that? They released what? The Rockefeller drug laws. They released what? Crack cocaine. They released what? The San Francisco Bay jails, where they took all of our political prisoners and pumped them inside.
I appreciate your insight and all the information that you've shared, brother. There's a sister behind you that wanted to respond.
Can we respond to that?
Okay, yes. I've got a British accent because I'm from England, but I live in New York, so I'm sort of, and I'm a Caribbean background, so I'm very aware of the black experience. And in London, we have a lot of Africans, so it's all similar experience. What I say is not that, I came in late, so I didn't get to see all of the film, but my perspective is what I'm saying is something, according to some things you said, it's not that it's not because our black leaders are gone, it's because the leadership within us has been lulled into a false sense of security.
That's right.
It's because the leadership was, the leadership's not going to come from us if we are encouraged into an entitlement state of mind, a state of mind where we've got to band together with every other oppressed group. We ourselves have the leadership within us. And we can do that no matter how hard the system, whether it's communist, capitalist, or whatever, we're in any system, and then the leaders will come forth. Right now, we think we're accepted, right? Through the media, through whatever, the left, the right, whatever, Fox News or MSNBC. We're not accepted, we're being used. And we're lulled into this false sense of security. I think there's another point about the electoral system and lobbying, which we don't have so much in England. We have other problems in England, though. We definitely, I mean, that's a big problem here. You have good and bad here. I mean, it's good in England, it's good here. One of the emphasis on freedom that you used to have, that you have in the Constitution, although I believe that the Constitution isn't a fixed thing, it can be changed. It's extremely important. It's what we don't have in Europe. Freedom can really help black people because it's about empowerment.
Indeed. That's right.
Especially local, localized elections. I used to listen to Rand Paul. I didn't like everything he said, but he was right. Ron Paul, he's right about certain things. I'm not saying they have totally our interests at heart, but if we have more freedom, more localized democracy, that alone would really help black people.
Talk about it.
Just leave us alone, get out of the way, and let us just...
And not the illusion.
And stop messing with our brains in terms of the media and the images.
So we're going to go here, and then back here we have two brothers over here.
I think that to return to the theme of the role of electoral politics, if you look at some of the things in this film, you can see that a huge amount of money and effort is being put into disenfranchising people of color and poor people. So all of that gerrymandering, when they redistrict things to be sure that the Republican candidates will win, that takes a lot of money and effort, and they do it. The prison system, it isn't just who's locked up, but it's that after you come out, you can't vote, you can't get a job, you can't get a place to live, you're disenfranchised completely. And I don't know if you've read the new Jim Crow, but it's like, this is a massive, comprehensive system. And voting, I think he's right, that we're at the end of a period of possible democracy. I mean, we might be able to pull it back, but voting is still really, really crucial. they go through so much trouble that when they steal ballot boxes and steal elections, like from Gore in Florida or from this guy Hatchett in this movie, they're doing that because they don't want people like you to, and it's people like me, although not me, I'm sort of a race traitor, but it's people like you who they don't want going to vote. And so when you don't vote, when you don't put candidates up, and when you don't protect your electoral rights, then they're winning. And so I would say, don't opt out of the system, push back.
I'm going to go over here, and I hear all of what's being said, and I understand a lot of the history that Quentin laid out. But we're here in 2015. What are we going to do going forward? Yes, we support local businesses. Yes, we engage in the system collectively and find the right people that we should vote with. But we have to actually do it. We have to engage.
Yes, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I rise to give praise to Allah and honor to His holy and illustrious Prophet, Noble Jew Ali, the Savior of humanity and the founder of the Moorish-American Temple of America. The points that the brother and the sister made were quite clear, and I understand where your perspective coming from, how we should be voting, how we should be pushing back, and speaking on how we're going to find these examples of success in this day and time now is to actually effectuate an institution or institutions that promote a knowledge of self to our people who, for the lack of a proper education, have fallen victim to consumerism and have fallen victim to, as the sister said, complacency in their situation and their status. The devil keeps us illiterate so that he can keep us for a tool and also a slave. He keeps us blind to ourselves so that he can master us. So when we know that illiterate means ignorant, we see that we can't read, and because we can't read, when we do see these concepts or these ideas being placed before us, such as in the bill, such as in the law, such as in some type of ordinance that is being instituted and constructed by what we call the government, which is really the people, us, we don't know what it is that we're looking at. We can't discern between truth and falsehood, even though it's strangely mixed. So right now, the only thing that we can do is, instead of looking for who we're going to vote for, who we're going to find and save, we need to place ourselves in the positions of political representation and then begin to represent ourselves. So, for example, in the community, in the village of Harlem, in the county of Manhattan, there's people that speak for us, but there's not people who actually experience what it is that we go through. So, just as you were saying, and now they said in the video, when the politicians come, they know whether or not they have that vote or not. Because most of us, especially people who refer to ourselves as Negroes in whatever language, black or whatever, we go for Democrat because that's what we were taught. Not knowing that this is a republic, that this was formed as a republic, and so we should continue to use that as the premise for our country, being we the people, placing ourselves in the operative capacity to run our government. Because we don't know, and because we haven't placed for ourselves institutions to teach our people who we are and how to act like it, we have fallen victim to a lack of a knowledge of self. So as the brother said, he said that he's been doing something for 20 years. The Moorish-American Temple of America was founded in 1913. He had been Noble Jew Ali was teaching our people that we were American citizens, that we weren't Negroes, blacks, colors, and Ethiopians for over 100 years. In 1928, when we elected Oscar Dupriest and Jesse Bingham was sitting next to the Prophet, there wasn't no Negroes can't vote here. There wasn't no Civil Rights Voting Act. It was none of that. When we walked in there, we walked in as American citizens with our nationality in place, and we effectuated it because we knew our nationality, which means we understood the political allegiance that we held to one another. That political allegiance bonded us socially. That social allegiance bonded us economically. And that social, economic, and political stagnation that we suffer from today can only be it can only be mastered by reviewing our moral conditions and then revitalizing ourselves in a moral and spiritual capacity to effectuate these things that we require in the social, economic, and political arena.
Appreciate your thoughts, brother. This is an institution here that's doing what you suggested. I suggest that you guys all come back April 29th. We're showing 41st and Central, the true story of the LA Black Panthers. You should come and check that out. Dr. Hunter, we're going to come to you right after we come to this brother here.
How you doing? I think we have to look at what is money. You know, like what is money? What is backing up money? Like, what is its purpose in society? It's just stored value. You know, we have to get back on a spiritual level with everybody. You know, to make a long story short, with this woman up here, everybody just has to talk and make it better some type of way on a spiritual level, just to make a long story short. But I deal in Bitcoin. I deal with cryptocurrency. I think that's gonna get this ball rolling with the process that you guys are fighting for. I think cryptocurrency is it. You know, it's programmable money. It's smart contracts. People just deal with each other. There's no court system. There's no cops. There's nothing. We program a contract. That's it. Nobody's coming to get you. There's no slave catchers. And I think this system is over anyway. I don't think we need to focus on voting or any of that. I think it's all over, honestly. Sorry.
We should talk more. I'm interested in crypto coins.
I know you're going to. I'll let you go with the audience, but I gotta say this. You know, we have a lot of variations of how we express our culture and the connections, the ills that have happened, and where we are. But we would make a grave mistake if we somehow push the electoral process off to the side as if it was not important. Even as you talk about Bitcoins and no need for police, listen, whether you call them police or not, you need some sense of order. You need some mechanism that allows you to move in a constructive way to safeguard the best interest for the public good of all.